What does it take to become a world-class HR practitioner? There's never been a more challenging time where HR has been asked to step up and deliver. And across the world, HR functions have risen to the challenge to shape a bold new way of working. In this series, we're going to take you inside the lives and minds of the world's top HR executives who are shaping the future of work for business and society. In each episode, we'll explore the passions and hobbies they pursue outside of the office and the behaviours, skills and routines that you need to perform at the top of the profession. I'm Chris Rainey, and this is Out of Office. As you can probably already realise by the sign behind me, today we're in Milton Keynes at DHL Supply Chain to meet our good friend Lindsay Bridges, who's a Senior Vice President of HR for UK and Ireland. Hi Lindsay, how are you?
I'm good, thanks Chris, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So where are we today? Fill everyone in.
So we are at our new facility here in Milton Keynes. It's called the Milton Keynes Digital Centre, and this facility's got two aspects to it. One is our warehouse operation, where we do a lot of servicing for technology customers and some servicing for our own internal technology that we use. And this building, a bit of the building that we're in now, is our HR Shared Service Centre. We call that People Services.
Nice, and have you just got back then?
Yeah, team's just coming back in, getting used to kind of the new way of working. But as you can see, you know, there's quite a lot of space in this facility, and I think people are excited about coming back to work.
Well, let's jump straight in then. What would you say is your purpose? And then how is this realised in the work that you do?
It's come to me more recently around purpose, being very much about making sure people can bring their authentic selves to work every day. And for me, that means being very open and honest about what I am and what I'm thinking, and encouraging others to do the same, and particularly doing that through our D&I agenda, and really encouraging people to be as open as they can feel comfortable being, and even push the bounds of that comfortableness in terms of bringing themselves to work.
Well, on that point then, you took it as far as actually starting your own show, your own podcast, which is really cool. Tell everyone about that. Yeah,
so we decided at the beginning of this year with our marketing team that we wanted to really put out to the market, internally and externally, what we're doing around diversity and inclusion. So yeah, I host a monthly podcast, mostly with people from within our business, just getting them to tell their story really.
How would your friends and family describe what you do for a living?
Oh, that's interesting. So when my daughter was much younger, she's 22 now, but when she was much younger, she just thought I fired people. That's what I did. Mummy fires people.
Mummy goes to work and fires people every day.
Thanks for that. Now, actually, I think, you know, if I use my daughter as the example, she's great. You know, bouncing ideas off a 22-year-old around, particularly around the D&I agenda, is really, really interesting because her perspective is so different to mine. I love it.
How have you taken care of your own well-being over the last 16 plus months? It's been a very challenging time for everyone.
So exercise, as I said, is how I start my day, and I realised at the start of lockdown that I wasn't doing enough. You know, my daughter was walking the dog and coming back at 7 o'clock at night, and I was still sitting on the computer, and it was just kind of crazy. And one of my colleagues challenged me to do 10,000 steps a day in the month of June last year. And I did that. And then she said in August, no, we're upping it to 12,000 steps a day.
This is getting too competitive.
And I'm like, whoa, competition's good for me. Yeah. And that's what we did. We kind of increased that exercise, and I've kept that up all the way through. And Chris, I'm really glad I did, because in February this year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And since then, up until 3 weeks ago, I've been going through chemotherapy, which I've worked all the way through and I've managed all the way through, and I'm due to have surgery in August to remove the lump, and then I've got some radiotherapy and all the rest of it. And I'm totally convinced that if I hadn't got on that exercise routine, I probably wouldn't be as responding as well as I have been through this treatment.
You seem, first of all, sorry to hear that, but secondly, you seem very positive and upbeat, and I know you've made a conscious effort to share this with the team as well, right?
Yeah, I've been very open about the cancer diagnosis, because people don't talk about it, and they should. And back to that purpose, if I'm going to bring myself to work every day, well, this is part of me at the minute. I don't like it, wouldn't choose it, but it is what it is. So I have been very open about it to people, and I think it is important that we talk about this, and I think it's important that people, you know, do self-examine, and actually if I can help promote that, well, that's a good thing.
And you mentioned to me as well, there are a number of colleagues that reach out to you during this time that have been through similar experiences as well.
Yeah, and that's been really good, and we've been sharing, and I've been learning from them, and they've been learning from me, because as you go through this journey, it's good to talk to other people.
Has it made you also reflect as a HR leader on your healthcare that you provide to employees as well?
Yeah. It's interesting, a couple of years ago we improved some of the healthcare benefits around cancer care specifically, and I'm really very grateful for that personally. Yeah. Right now I can see the value of it, but I think our biggest challenge is promoting those healthcare benefits to people.
We take it for granted sometimes, don't we?
We do, or we don't even know what's there.
We don't know what we got.
Exactly, and promoting that out is a real challenge to us.
What would you say is a common misconception people have about you?
People think I'm a workaholic.
I think they're right.
No, definitely not. When our daughter was born 22 years ago, my husband gave up work and I became the full-time work person. But that meant he did all the kind of home stuff during the week, which meant we had our weekends free as a family. I rarely work at the weekend, and people don't really believe that or don't see that, but it is true.
I'm not known you that long, but even that's hard for me to believe. You don't work on a weekend, so you just work really, really, really hard Monday to Friday, and then make sure you open up.
Pretty much, not Friday night, but pretty much. Yeah.
As much as you can.
Yeah.
As much as you can. If you were sitting in a room right now with a group of HR executives, and you can only ask them one question, what would that be?
How do you get your messages to land all the way through the organisation consistently?
Ooh.
It's a huge frustration to me. You get so far, and then it gets
What layer
changed.
do you think is the most difficult to engage?
In our business, I think we can get down to our site leaders, our general manager for our sites, and then I think it becomes quite challenging to get through maybe 2 or 3 management layers to every warehouse colleague, to every driver that we have, drivers in particular, because they don't routinely come together.
So to get,
Yeah.
Well, I suppose technology is one part of it, but it's definitely not the only answer as well. So, well, we'll leave that for everyone else listening as well.
Absolutely.
Give that answer.
Everyone's got the answer. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're thinking, yeah, it's exactly the same. What's one thing in your career that you've had to learn the hard way?
Probably more recently in the diversity and inclusion space. The whole kind of, what do you say? How do you say the right thing? How do you not say the wrong thing? I was talking to a colleague about Black Lives Matter a few months ago now, and I inadvertently said something that I shouldn't have. I said it wrong. I got something wrong, and I didn't realise at the time. And actually, fair play to her. She told me afterwards that what I'd said probably wasn't, the right way to express it, and I learned from it. Now, it was great she was able to tell me that, but I do worry in that space sometimes.
You think to yourself, like, how many times have I said something before and not realised, and no one said something right? And
how, have I offended somebody? I mean, that'd be awful if I had, but because you don't intend to.
Yeah.
And it's empowering people to feel they can come and tell you.
One of the interesting things over the last year, the CHRO's role has been compared to the CFO's role, in the last financial crisis. What do you think that we need to do to sustain this momentum we've gained in HR?
See, I kind of see what you're saying, but I'm not quite sure I totally agree with it, to be honest. I mean, I think, and certainly the world I come from in DHL Supply Chain here, HR has always been a creditable player with a seat at the table. So I don't think that it's changed that much in terms of the last year. But I think what we do need to do to continue to be there is to be really close to our operations, understand our customers, our operations, and what's making the money for whatever organisation that we work in.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you so much for having us. It's been a real pleasure. It's been nice to get outside the office and see you as well.
No, thank you for coming, and thanks for coming around and being interested in terms of what we do here at the site and seeing the operations. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to be off to the Key & Prince Foundation Stadium, home of the Queen's Park Rangers Football Club, to meet QP&R fanatic and Chief Talent Officer at the Ford Motor Company, Chris Yates.